There's nothing sweeter than a grandmother's love, and there's no better role model to look up to than a grandfather.
Do you have a funny story or fond memory of time spent with your grandparents?
I remember waiting for more than an hour for a ride in Dollywood, which is near where they live, and they were waiting there the whole time, just sitting there, because they always wanted me to have fun.
I got a pet bearded dragon, a lizard, and my grandmother now has weekly play dates with that lizard and her dog.
We caught a mouse one time in a mouse trap, and my grandfather held it with it by its tail.
She would take us down to this tiny outdoor park every day, and we'd play there for hours and hours and hours.
So my older cousin, she's on TikTok a lot, and she convinced my granddad to get on it. And he did some weird dance, I wasn't really sure, but now he has over 1,000 likes.
One of the memories I have with my grandmother is she and I went to the go-kart track, and I think that she was kind of making it feel like NASCAR, like with Ricky Bobby. She said, if you ain't first, you're last.
We got to go riding on a dog sled, and my grandfather actually fell off. It was funny.
She made me a sorting hat from Harry Potter one year. Another year she made me a baseball bat made out of fondant, and just all of the cakes she makes are remarkable.
What influence have your grandparents had on you?
They just encourage us to grow closer as a family, and it helps strengthen the bonds between us.
So they helped me become a better person and helped me think about my actions and that I should try my best.
I know my grandparents are always supporting and caring for me.
And so they're always there for you to confide in.
My grandma was an English teacher, and that had an impact on me because that's now my favorite subject.
Most importantly, it taught me about life and how to be a good man. I just love what he did for me and the lessons that he taught me.
They've always instilled in me a sense of understanding and to always be compassionate.
My grandparents just really instilled how to be a gentleman, how to treat women with respect. And so yeah, they just put a lot of love in me that I can give to other people.
They've just they've helped me have more manners.
Whenever I would finish preschool, basically I would go to my grandparents' house, and then my grandmother would teach me on her own. And my granddad really taught me the value of being able to get outside and work with your hands.
They've always taught me to be hardworking and always be myself.
Is there anything you wish your grandparents knew how to do?
But we're the grandparents. We know how to do everything.
If there's any one thing, I would say economics homework.
I wish they could speak English so I can communicate to them better.
I wish that they would keep up to date with some of the sports instead of saying Joe Montana's so good.
Be a little better with technology. That'd definitely be useful.
Everything that I wish they knew, they do.
Everything that I need them to do or would want them to do, I think they do a really good job at.
My grandma just got one of her first smartphones, so she'll always call me and ask for information on how to do this, or her volume will never be adjusted right so she can never hear me. And then when she first started sending me texts, she would always have a space between every single letter, and I would have to piece it together, which would be so funny.
Is there anything your grandparents did while raising your parents that you do or do not appreciate?
A big thing that we do is we always sit down for dinner, and I know that on both my parents' sides, that was a tradition that they decided to carry out.
My dad was raised by 2 school teachers, and so he grew up in a very strict home, and so I like that they did that because he recognized it, and now he's a little bit more lenient.
I like how they put discipline into them, so I'm not spoiled or something.
Some of the more trivial ways that my parents were raised, actually contrast the way that they raised me, so that's interesting at times.
And my parents have definitely helped me to become a better person, and I think that's because of what my grandparents did for them.
Well, it's kind of funny when we go to our grandparents' house because it kind of turns the table on our parents, and just seeing them being the kid is kind of funny.
But I do wish that sometimes when I misbehave, my mom takes away my Xbox. I think she maybe did that because she maybe didn't have, I know she didn't have one as a kid or a Wii like that.
Is there anything your grandparents do that embarrass you?
How could we embarrass our grandchildren?
Very easily.
I can't really think of anything. My grandparents are pretty cool about it because they won't really do anything to embarrass me.
So after the Vanderbilt baseball team got back from the College World Series, we went to meet them at their stadium. And so my grandma was there, and you know, we watched the games together, so she knew all the names. So she started calling their names very loudly.
I will give them credit, they try not to.
I remember playing backyard football with my grandmother and her doing a QB sneak.
What name do you call your grandparents?
Grandpa Felix, Grandma Louise, and it's Zizi and Papa.
Happy, Papa, and Graham.
Ani, Pops, Mumsy, and Papa.
Haja Inajan, Haja Babajan, Inajan.
John, Papa, and Granny.
Nana, Granddaddy, Grandbuddy, Mimi, Grandmare, and Hapley.
Gran, and Pop.
Granddad, Grandma, Abuelo, and Abuela.
Granddaddy, Jin, Mai, and Papa.
Grammy, Papa, Nani, Baba.
Pop, Gran, Fancy, and Big A.
Baba John, Mama John, Grandpop, Grandmom.
Mimi, Granddad, Pop-Pop, and Nana.
Nana, Granddad, Gong, Popua.
Grandma Sweet Potato, Grandma Jean, Granddaddy Charles, and Granddaddy Willie.
Do your grandparents have any favorite sayings?
So my grandmother, when she gets mad or something, just in a playful way with my grandfather, she'll go like this for him to be quiet.
Hey, boy. Hey, Granddad.
My grandma Jean is like whenever you're telling her a story, she'll like say this in the same voice. Uh-huh. Yeah.
What impact do you think grandparents have on the life of a young man?
It's really beneficial to have grandparents who you're close to, because when you're close to a grandparent, it allows you to have so much more knowledge and love in your life.
You just might need someone to talk to that's a bit different from who you usually talk to.
They just do so much for us, and they've put like the second half of their life into the grandkids.
They can be cooler than your parents. They're just there to comfort you, and just if you need someone to talk to besides your parents, they're just there.
They really love you, and they like to put a lot of time into you.
They're like having extra friends who know so much more about life.
Well, I really like my grandparents because they're just super supportive and just influential.
To have someone with the experience of raising my parents being able to, advise me and both advise my parents is something that, has really, it's tremendously helped me.
So a lot of things about grandparents, they just don't care anymore. So that's always funny to be around them and hear their story.
I cannot thank MBA enough for the opportunity for you guys to come out here and see what your grandson is doing on a daily basis. And again, I thank you for coming out.